Yeah, are we ready? Vince?
Yes, yes, we're ready. We're streaming live. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us today here. I know it's tax season has been extended. Hopefully, everybody's excited for that. Today, my name is Vicente with Latino Tax Pro, as you can tell from my shirt. And today we have Timur from Pro Tax Pro and our CEO Carlos Lopez from Latino Tax Pro. Good morning, everybody. How are you guys doing today?
Doing great, thanks. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. Timur, how are you doing, sir?
Fantastic. Thanks, Vicente.
Awesome. Yeah. So today, I know we're doing an update on the relief package that practically came out. I know everybody has a lot of questions. So do we. And today we have two of the best in the industry to help us answer those questions. So make sure you type in your questions
You sent the
uh, and also ask. We're streaming live on Facebook, so make sure you add your comments on Facebook, and we'll answer them we'll answer as many as possible today. To start off, I know one of the common questions I keep seeing a lot, Timur, is how do I exclude? This is the 10,200 question. How do I exclude the unemployment?
Well, my advice to you is don't file a tax return with unemployment yet.
This is the
Just stop. And here's why. The original guidance IRS put out, what, 3 Fridays ago now, said that, if your income is below $150,000, you get to take $10,200 off the unemployment per taxpayer. But you had to test that $150,000 income, including the unemployment. So you do the return once with unemployment, see how much the AGI was, then do the return again and potentially take out the unemployment. Well, just this Friday, IRS changed its guidance and said when you test the AGI, test it without the unemployment in there. So IRS is trying to be more taxpayer friendly. And the bill was just passed 20 days ago, maybe. So we need the IRS to get some time just to figure out exactly what they want to do and then file it off. So tax software is constantly changing. We just updated our software last night to follow the new, more taxpayer-friendly guidelines that IRS published, different from the guidelines they published 2 Fridays ago. So I know taxpayers want their refunds, and I know we need to do it, but it's better to get it right because an amendment normally takes 6 to 12 weeks for the IRS to process. An amendment does not have direct deposit. You have to get a paper check on an amendment. And so just waiting another week probably will give us time and IRS time to decide exactly how they want to treat these things.
Awesome. Thank you for the update. I know that's it's been something that everybody's wondering, still questions about it. But for the most part, I believe we've had a lot of guidance, especially our software is updating us depending on who you go with. And if you go with Pro Tax Pro, they definitely have that up to date, right, Timur?
We coded it the day after the law passed. And then, like I said, IRS gave us that guidance on that Friday. And so we pushed it into the software. And then just last night, they gave us new guidance and we fixed it again. So, it's like a plane that's flying and we keep changing bolts and screws as we go. But the other big one, I don't know if anybody's seen it, maybe on Facebook or in the chat here. Has anybody seen the premium tax credit? You don't have to repay any excess premium tax credit you received last year. IRS is still working on the guidance for that. So I don't know what software's updated that yet or not, but that's a big one.
Yeah, it's been super crazy with that, and I know there's a lot of questions on that. One of the questions that I commonly see a lot with our in our office is that, hey, I had a baby in 2020. Can I claim the rebate credit?
Yes, you can. The IRS has opened up that door, but you have to file a tax return to get it. What do you
Yeah,
think,
no-
Timur?
Yeah, exactly. This is why, our tax system is so important, because they give benefits like a child tax credit or a recovery rebate credit or whatever it is through the tax system. And IRS doesn't necessarily know your life, right? That's why you need tax preparer or file a tax return so you can update the IRS about, changes in your life that have, changed your tax situation, like a baby.
Yeah, there's several, that's why our tax system is so important in this country. It really is the hub of everything that we do. If you want to buy a car, you want to buy a home, you want to go to school and pay tuition, or get a student loan, get a credit card. I mean, everything is just based around the tax return, which is why it's so important to get it prepared properly.
And Yvette, the recovery rebate credit would not apply to baby born this year, but when they file their tax return in 2022, then they'd likely get that recovery rebate credit for the baby born this year.
Yeah, 21. I was referring to babies born in 20. Sorry.
That's what I was talking about too, but Yvette asked that question on the chat.
Awesome. And then there's a question from Lupe here. I have a client who filed their taxes with the 2020 baby. However, she did not get the third stimulus check for the baby. Will they send a check later?
So that's what IRS has said, is that, if you file the return, they're going to update their records. But the third stimulus check, they said they're going to look at the new tax return and see if there's any true up necessary and do that true up. So if they sent the stimulus based on the 2019 return, then the 2020 return, when it gets processed to the IRS, they'll do that. And, I always like doing this. I was going to share my screen if you guys don't mind really quick. Carlos, I don't know if you've seen this, but,
Yeah.
the IRS in 2021 has processed less than 60 million returns. Normally they've processed almost 74 million returns. So they're behind 20% in processing. And refunds down here at the bottom, I don't know if you can see, I'll scroll up a little bit. Refunds are down 28%. So that means almost 1 out of 3 people that would normally have their refund today doesn't have it, just because it had, 20% of them haven't been sent in, but 8% of them just haven't been processed. So IRS is a little behind in their processing. You see that? And so that's just kind of a interesting thing for all of us as tax preparers to realize, is that, to your question about the stimulus and that, maybe it's because there's 7% of returns not processed. You see that difference between returns received and processed? And then maybe it's because it's the 8 million or the 8% of returns that just don't have refunds issued yet.
Yeah, I think the other problem is also they didn't start processing returns till February 12th. So I imagine they must have some kind of a backlog that they're trying to get through.
Right, and you can see that in those numbers. I mean, you can see just kind of like the backlog that's going on there.
Yeah, it's really challenging this year.
Yeah, and then we're getting more questions here. If you receive $15,000 from unemployment, can you just file only with 4,800, like income from unemployment?
So what IRS wants you to do is report the full amount of unemployment on that Schedule 1, line 7, which is the unemployment line. And then you report a negative other income on line 8 for the non-taxable portion.
Okay, then we're
That's
gonna.
code UCE, I think. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unemployment compensation exclusion. So yeah, you still need to file a tax return. That's the whole That's the whole basis.
Yeah, and especially if they had any withholdings, right? You definitely want to file to get some of those withholdings if they had them in there. So
Yeah, a lot of people who claimed unemployment, I don't know if they actually asked for withholding, but a lot of the ones I've seen have had some withholding, not a whole lot, but they've had some withholding.
yeah, so those
And
people
the only
are.
thing to remember is if your withholding is more than your unemployment amount, you don't have other income, then you have to paper file because the IRS won't accept a electronic return where the withholding is more than the income. And since unemployment compensation is, you know, going to be high, and the withholding may be high, or after the reduction, you might have to paper file. Arminda asked though about, is IRS going to stick with correcting already e-filed returns? So the IRS website says don't file an amendment if you're just trying to correct the unemployment. They're saying to wait for guidance from them. Here, I'll post the link. And then when we get that guidance, I'm sure your software company will let you know. But you brought up a really good problem, is that for states that deal with unemployment compensation, you know, a lot of states, they don't tax unemployment, so it doesn't really matter. But for states that do tax a portion or all of your unemployment, like Wisconsin or other states, you will have to file an amendment to the state if the federal amends and the state, you know, follows suit. Have you seen that, Carlos? That's the problem with like letting the IRS do it, is that they're not going to fix the states.
They're not going to fix the states. And also, what if you use the prior year earned income to calculate your earned income tax credit? How is the IRS going to know what your true income was to recalculate your taxes? That's the one I'd like to see how they're going to do that. Well, I don't know if I'd like to see it, but I'd like to see what they're going to do to help us out with that. Because as soon as I heard they were going to do it themselves, I went, oh no. Because we have, you know, a couple of hundred clients that used last year's, the previous year income because their unemployment was so high.
Yeah, and I hope that the IRS would just let us, you know, I think all our tax preparers use software. All the software companies have the information to recalculate the return. If they let us, the software companies, recalculate the returns, just the unemployment correction. To Carlos, your point, we know the prior year information because you keyed it in or we import it from the prior year.
Yeah.
We can do that.
And especially if they were our clients, then the software does that. You know, fills it in. So, yeah.
So how's your business been since the season it got extended?
Yeah,
people stop coming in?
We're actually on the increase.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, we're doing really well. We're about 5% above last year.
That's great.
Great for us. And so, you know, we've been on a steady, not a huge, but a steady decline because of the do-it-yourselfers and people just not wanting to do their taxes. But I think now there's so many questions about stimulus, about unemployment, that a lot of people are thinking we better go somewhere that knows what they're doing. And fortunately, that's us.
Yeah, we do get a lot of questions. Like, for example, also another one, you know, veering a little bit back into it is the child tax credit, the 3,600 if they're under 5, or if they're over six and above, the $3,000 credit. How's that going to get split up? I know that's one question on Facebook that a lot of people are asking as well, and that's a question that people have been calling into the offices and calling. I don't know if everybody else is getting that. Have you guys heard about that, Mr. Lopez Timur?
Yeah, so what they're doing is the IRS is going to do an advance credit starting in July. And from what I understand, you have to opt out. Otherwise, they're going to automatically opt you in, and you're going to start getting these payments. It'll be half of what it was for 6 months, and then that becomes a credit on your taxes. By credit, I mean it's actually a debit. They're going to take it off of your taxes and then only give you half or what. But the thing is, what's risky about that is, do you guys remember, Timur and Vince, in the olden days, you could get advanced earned income tax credit? I think you still can, but it's really, really risky because what if you don't have the same kids or something happens, they grow up and leave? Oh, I just saw a question here. How do you opt out? Yeah, we don't know yet, but as soon as we do, we'll let you know.
The IRS said their priorities were to get the stimulus out,
Yeah.
figure out the unemployment insurance, figure out the premium tax credit, then figure out these payments. And Carlos is right. I mean, I think, Lupe, you made a really good point. It sounds like a lot of people are going to be paying taxes in 2021. If you get that advanced child tax credit, then yeah, it's going to take it right out of your refund at the end of the year. And people don't realize that. They just probably think it's another stimulus check that they're going to get, and it's not going to have to be reconciled or paid back.
And to answer Guadalupe's question, when you fill out your 1099-G on your software, you should get an exclusion worksheet that appears. And then that will have the code will be UCE, unemployment compensation exclusion. But let the software work it. Timur, I'll defer this to Timur. He's got a wonderful software product. Timur, how's your software doing it?
So yeah, we have different options to enter unemployment compensation, either through 1099-G or just a direct input. And so either way you enter the unemployment compensation, it automatically qualifies them based on their AGI for the reduction. And then it'll subtract the allowed amount. And then your question, Guadalupe, is line 8 is called other income. And so it becomes a negative other income, just like if you had a foreign income exclusion of 2555, or if you had, I forget what the other negative other income can be, but.
The notice of 2014.
Yeah, 2014-7, the Medicaid waiver. Yeah, it gets reported like that onto that line 8.
Yeah, and so definitely keep those questions coming in. I know people are asking now the self-employment tax deferral. I know we had a good question up here. Is if you didn't claim the self-employment tax deferral option on the original 2020 return, can you amend the return to take advantage of this? And also, how does the payment of the deferred payments work?
Yeah, from what you said, and of course I don't have the actual case in front of me. It sounds like you could amend it to qualify for the additional credit. But once again, I'm going to say this: be very careful when you're amending returns, and make sure you have 3 things that the IRS requires on all tax returns, and those are receipts, receipts, receipts. Don't try to do creative writing with those amended returns, or the original return as well.
But I think, I don't know that exact case again like you're talking about, but if those needed to be on the originally filed return, some of these provisions are only for the originally filed return. That means you need to get that corrected return in before May 15th, because then IRS is going to call it a superseded return instead of an amended return. And the benefits associated with the originally filed return can be taken up to the deadline of the return. So if you don't do it before May 15th, and those benefits need to be on the originally filed return, you may not be able to get them. So I'd recommend that that's one of those amendments that you should get out quickly, as opposed to the unemployment amendments where IRS is asking you to kind of hold back and wait.
Yeah.
And
Good point, Timur. Yeah, originally filed return. So get it in there before May 15th. Now, May 15th is Saturday this year, so May 17th is a day that will actually be the last date.
Oh, right. And Takita, I mean, Here's the reality. Is the unemployment comp ready before the tax season? We have to amend a lot of returns. If IRS has a 6 to 12 week processing time on an amendment, normal, and they need to get 20 million amendments, something tells me it's going to take some time, because it's not like an e-file return where it just flies through. IRS has to manually review amendments. There's a person at the IRS has to look at the amendment. And so I think that, so Laura, IRS has not made a statement yet. They've said they want to, but they said they haven't said they will. But it's going to take a long time, whether they do it themselves or they amend. And to be honest, to Carlos's point earlier, I don't think they can amend everybody's return automatically. Maybe if you're a single person and you only have wages, then they can do it. But if you have depreciation or any sort of other things going on in your tax return, even if you're married, I think the IRS is going to have a problem amending those returns and will need us as the tax community to come in and help them.
Yeah, I agree with you, Timur. They're so overwhelmed and understaffed. I understand the last 10 years, the IRS has, because of attrition, because of layoffs, they're down 20,000 employees. They're down to about 78,000. At their peak, they were at 120 to 130,000. So they have a lot fewer employees, and gosh, I just don't know how they're going to do it. It's just going to take time. It's us, the taxpayers, that are going to suffer.
I mean, their computer systems are antiquated. I mean, Congress constantly doesn't fund the IRS appropriately to do its job. And so the IRS isn't able to update its systems. And so now when you ask them to do this extraordinary task, it's going to take time. It's going to take processing time, because they don't have the modern computers that you in your tax offices do, right?
Yeah.
So they just need time to process it, and everybody wants their stimulus and their unemployment and everything now, which I understand, I get it. You have to realize that there's a big ship called the IRS, and that thing's on the track, and it's hard to change its course.
Yeah, and then I know there's people asking as well. I can't finish watching the video. Are we going to record this, or can you watch it later? Yes, it will be available in our Facebook page. You can also find it in a ProTax Pro page. We'll share it in their page as well. So you can always go back and recap. But if you have any questions, definitely always submit them in the comments, and we'll definitely get to them.
And to add to that, Vincente, the thing that Latino Tax Pro does is it provides like super good education and up-to-date information, right? I've received just, I don't know, 5 or 6 emails in the last 2 weeks alone, updates about the unemployment, updates about all the different tax provisions, the tax deadline change. So subscribe to Latino Tax Pro's information. If you can't stay for the video, make sure you go to the website, give them your information, and they have a VIP membership that gives you like tax help. So all these questions you're asking, you can actually call and talk to an enrolled agent in California, that Carlos that works on the team there. They'll give you real live tax advice, which is like so critical. So, Laura, when the IRS does say they're going to amend some returns or not amend some returns automatically, Latino Tax Pro will give that information out. And if you have a question about how to amend a return, you can call, get live help about how to amend the return. And sometimes when our taxpayers call us, they call our helpline. We try to help everybody as much as we can. But there's some things we say, you should call Latino Tax Pro and get an enrolled agent to help you through this process, because it's a real complicated tax process that you should understand more cleanly. We like to provide support in our software. We don't prepare taxes, right? Latino Tax Pro does that. And so I think, this is a really important time for folks to think about getting some memberships with Latino Tax Pro.
Yeah, thanks, Timur. So another thing I'd like to talk about is the PPP loans. Now, those are set to expire on March 31st or until the money runs out. And from what I understand, they still have some money. Now, you apply for these loans or your second draw through a bank, through their online portals. You can't walk into a branch and apply. They want it done all online. Your forgiveness portion of it, depends on how you apply. There's different levels, and you have up to 10 months after you receive the money to apply for forgiveness. Now, if you go past the 10 months, then you start paying back the loan over a 5-year period, and it's 1% interest rate. And you can apply for forgiveness anytime during that 5-year period. Now, the big thing is if you're in California and you got a PPP loan, the legislature is working on Bill AB 80. And I highly recommend that you call your state assembly person or state senator or your assembly person, that's where the bill is, and tell them you need that law passed, because it's going to forgive up to $150,000 of those debts. Because right now, California does not accept the PPP loan forgiveness of debts. They still
So
want
was that, Carlos, AB what?
AB 80.
AB 80, okay.
AB 80. So AB 80, guys, make sure I already sent my assembly person an email, plus the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. I've sent them some comments. So get on it, because we need this passed, because right now I got all my corporations, all my S Corps and partnerships on extension, because I don't want to file a return and find out later on that they did get that forgiveness. We'll have to apply for a amended return. Now, right now it's set for $150,000. So if you borrowed under $150,000 and this AB 80 passes, you won't have to include that forgiven part. But if you've gotten a loan over $150,000, then the part over $150,000 may be taxable to California.
So how do you find your assemblyman and person?
Yeah, let's see here. That's a good point.
So let me share my screen. I'll do the assembly, and then let me share my screen.
Well, the
here.
assembly is who you want to talk to, because that's where it is right now. It's in the assembly.
Okay, so I just went to the California Assembly website. Do you see that? California State Assembly. And usually there's a way you can find your assembly member. Members. Find your legislator by your address. There we go.
Oh, good. Somebody sent us a link. Thank you, Lupe.
You locate it. Boom. I've got assembly member Steve Bennett and Monique Limon. So
Send
Monique's
them
great.
both an email or a letter and say, hey, you guys got to vote on this AB 80, and make sure you include the PPP loan forgiveness portion of it. Because there's some other
It's
things.
super easy, because look, you can just click contact me, at least on Monique doesn't have hers there, but Steve Bennett has a contact me link right there. There you go. Good.
And thank you for the people that sent us links.
Yeah, it's always helpful. And then we have a question from Grace. How do businesses apply for the forgiveness of the PPP?
If you go to the portal of the bank where you applied for the original loan, they'll have the forgiveness part there. Now, they've changed it about 3 times. Excuse me. When I originally applied for my forgiveness, I had to go and file form. I think it was 3805S. But now they've totally reduced it down to about 7 or 8 questions. And because I've done it for some clients also. And what's really cool about it is once you go to the website of the bank where they got the loan, it practically fills the whole thing out for you. So it's really easy to do that. And it could be an income generator because we charge for filling those out.
Yeah, awesome. And then for those people that haven't applied for the PPP, Mr. Lopez, would you recommend going to somebody that they already know, or one of those big branches like Chase, Bank of America?
I'd say go to your local bank first because you'll get better service. And the big banks, they tend to lag. And I originally started at Chase, and I didn't hear from them for like 2 or 3 days. So I went to a small local bank where we have a mortgage on one of our buildings. I went over there and they said, okay, let's start right now. And I went, yeah, right now. Let's get this thing flowing.
I think that they want you to, most banks want to have a existing relationship with you because they know your customer rules that banks have.
Yeah, it's true.
So if you just go find a new bank, they're going to want you to move your business over. But if you're a bank you already work with, it's probably a good way to do it.
Good point, Timur. Yeah, they want to have a banking relationship with you. So, some of them will bend over backwards to get something going for you. But if you're at B of A or Chase or Wells, go to their website and you'll see it on there. It's and they know there's only a few days left, so they're probably going to step it up.
Yeah, thank you for that information, Mr. Lopez and Timur. I know, and then one other question that's been popping up a lot is the stimulus. I've been seeing around, and people are still asking, especially out here in the Facebook. There's something saying that if both parents or that single parent had an ITIN and the kids with the socials, are they able to get the stimulus payment? I know that's a common question. I haven't found the link or the information that says they can, so I'm not sure if that's something that you've came across yet.
Well, here's the way I understand it. And you mentioned a single parent with an ITIN and then children that have good socials.
Valid socials. Mm-hmm. Or both parents.
From what I understand, if the parent files a tax return with their children on it, the children may qualify for the stimulus, but the parent won't. Have you heard anything different, Timur, than that?
No, I haven't heard anything different about that.
But like I said, may. So please don't repeat it and say, well, Lopez said yes. No, I didn't. I said maybe. But you won't know if you don't apply.
Yeah, exactly. And then here's for the mixed status families, as long as one of the parent has a valid social security number and the rest of the kids who do have a valid social security number, they do get it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So if it's a mixed family status is what we call it. One parent has a good social, one parent has an ITIN, and the kids have good socials. Yeah, it's giving them the amount without the parents only get half, but the kids get the full thing. I just saw a comment here. My program isn't giving it to them. Call your software people and ask them, if they know anything different.
Switch to ProTax Pro.
Switch to ProTax Pro. There it is.
But didn't it change too for each stimulus check had some different rules, and then they corrected the rules, and then they did that too. So yeah, I give your software company a call. In honesty, I agree with Carlos.
If it's ProTax Pro, you can ask Timur right now.
Yeah, this is why we have them. Right, Timur?
Yeah, that's the point.
But this is great. Yeah, definitely all the questions. Software, especially if you use ProTax Pro, Timur's here. That's why we have him here. And if you need more consultation, he has a team definitely that can help you out with that.
Yeah, I'll put the link up here. There's one thing I want to remind everybody of. Yeah, absolutely. Actually, we do have a free trial on ProTax Pro. If you sign up and create an account, we'll actually give you 5 free returns, and you can go in there and e-file those 5 free returns if you want, or you can just do training test returns and see how it works. But I was going to add something. One of the big things that I don't think a lot of people are aware of is the Form 7202. And so if you have self-employed people, Schedule C, Schedule F, taxpayers in your office, and those taxpayers had to take time away from their self-employed work to care for someone in their family that had coronavirus, or if they had the coronavirus themselves, you can get that paid family leave and sick leave that Congress passed. So if you work for somebody and you had coronavirus, you got sick leave, and then the employer on their 941 would get credit for paying out that sick leave. And so the self-employed people need to get that too. So it kind of hangs on the Schedule SE. I think maybe that was one of some of the SE questions earlier, but make sure you dig in that software and find where you can enter those days, because you get the 50 days of credit for paid family leave. And so, I mean, I know, you know, my kids were out of school, and my wife and I had to juggle around to kind of take care of them. We have 3 kids, 7, 5, and 2. Carlos has seen pictures of them, but you know, they're normally in school all day, and we had to take time away to care for them and make sure they're okay. And that qualifies as the paid family leave. And then the, you know, fortunately, my wife and I didn't get sick with COVID. So, you know, we don't have any like actual direct expenses for, you know, paid sick leave for it. But that 7202 is a key form for a lot of preparers that they may not know about. But I think, Carlos, you have some good training on it, right?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, and then Timur, quick question. I know this Form 7202, is this only for business owners, or can somebody, individual tax preparer, or I'm sorry, individual taxpayer, can they claim this 7202?
So the 7202 is again, it's the equivalent of the paid sick leave and paid family leave. And those are offered to employers. So if you're an employee and you take the paid sick leave or paid family leave, the employer pays you out, and the employer gets a credit on their 941. So like we use ADP for payroll. And so ADP, you can type in the number of sick hours or paid, you know, sick hours or paid family leave hours that an employee took. And then ADP automatically puts in our 941, we get a credit for it. Then the other thing, so then if you're a self-employed person, meaning you're a Schedule C, Schedule F type person, then you need to, you need to be able to access that benefit too. You don't file a 941, all your employment taxes go on the Schedule SE. So to your question, Vince, the individual taxpayer that has no self-employment, they would have got that benefit by doing sick hours at their place of business where they work, and their employer would have passed through that money. But if you're a self-employed person, you're paying your employment taxes on a Schedule SE. The 7202 attaches to the SE and gives you that benefit. And Liz, you know, I don't know why, but I would look, you know, the IRS is processing the 7202s in a strange way. It's not traditional e-file. It goes in a different way. So I'd have the taxpayer call, or you can call that practitioner priority line and see what's going on, because the 7202 should be there. And, you know, you just have to make sure that you didn't claim too much, because there's limits to the number of days for the sick leave and limits to the number of days for the paid family leave. And if you use too many days, then they would disallow that credit. But as long as it was done right, it should be. And Diana, no, paid family leave is a tax credit. Unemployment is a non-taxable income. So it's almost like a deduction or adjustment. But the credit's dollar for dollar, whereas the deduction or adjustment is, you know, multiplied by your tax rate.
Thanks, Timur. Yeah, I answered some questions there about I-10s. So if you guys have questions, please read those. What I wanted to talk about right now was, don't forget that the unemployment now was extended, but it's $300 extra instead of $600 compared to what it was earlier in the year. And
Yeah, well, we get that information. I'm also copying this information over so we can, everybody following us on Facebook can actually read the comments that Mr. Lopez is adding here. So we'll have them both in the Zoom and in Facebook.
okay, thanks. Yeah, then someone else asked about the $3,600 child tax credit. Now that's the tax credit for 2021. It's been expanded, and Vince talked about this in the beginning. It's $3,600 for children up to the age of 5. and then children 6 to 17, it goes to $3,000. And remember, it used to be when they turned 17 at cutoff, I believe it's 18 this year. Is that right, guys? So it's 18.
Mhm.
Now, what we're talking about is the advanced child tax credit. That's for this year. So what they're doing is starting in June, you could be eligible to receive half of the child tax credit that you would normally be eligible for next year in monthly payments starting in July. And from what I understand, now you have to remember, guys, this is a changing landscape. So the way I understand it is you need to opt out, or else the IRS is going to automatically send it to you. So keep your eyes out and keep tuning into this station, and we'll fill you in.
And you know, one of the things we get a lot of questions about is, what do I need to do in my 2020 tax return I'm filing today for my customers to get that credit? And that credit is for tax year 2021. So
Right.
you're going to reconcile it in 2022.
Yeah.
When you're preparing taxes this year in 21, you don't need to do anything. Just file the return as normal. You're going to get the credit that we normally do. Your 17-year-old child is not qualified. Next year, if the child is 17 and 21, then they'll be eligible. You don't need to do anything on this year's tax return because it's a credit for next year. The unemployment is retroactive, and that's why it's so complicated, because they made it go back to January 1st, 2020. But this credit is looking forward.
Yeah.
I try to tell everybody I like to look forward, not back, but I guess unemployment, I'm looking back, right? Is that the story?
That's a
Yeah.
good one, Timur. That was a good analogy. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know we have a lot of questions as well, and our time up here is coming up. I know
Yeah.
everybody's busy getting ready again. Thank you, everybody that's been tuning in, leaving in the comments, and share this video with your friends. As Mr. Lopez said, you know, we're here every fourth Tuesday of the month, except if you're gonna be at the virtual Latino Tax Fest in September. That week is the only week that we'll probably not do this, because we're gonna be at the fest.
We'll do it live. What are you talking about? Well,
Yeah.
we should have a fireside chat session at the fest.
Yeah.
Yeah, sponsored by ProTax Pro.
Sponsored by Latino Tax Pro. What are you talking about?
Yeah. ProTax Pro in conjunction, in partnership. So
Yeah.
before we sign off, I just want to remind everyone, the deadline is only for individual returns.
Oh, good one.
May 17th. It's not for your S Corps, your C Corps,
Trust.
your 1041s. It's not for any of your business returns. And your 1040 estimated payment is still due April 15th. So the only thing that got extended was the filing of the 1040.
And the payment for 2020.
And the payment that's due for 2020, right? The 10.
But you're right. This is a big one. Estimateds are due.
Estimateds are still due on the 4/15. They didn't change that like they did last year to July 15th. That's not the Schedule C. That is the Schedule C, has been extended to May 17th. I'm talking about all your business returns were not
The entity
extended.
returns, yeah.
Awesome.
Good question. All right. That's
One
what
last
I had.
question, Mr. Lopez, and Timur, is if a taxpayer adopted a child in 2019 and someone else filed him as a dependent and received the stimulus, what could the taxpayer do for 2020?
Taxpayer should take the recovery rebate credit.
Awesome. Thank you, Kathy, for that question. And once again, thank you, everybody, for tuning in with us. Your host, Vicente, here with Latino Tax Pro, and Mr. Carlos Lopez, CEO of Latino Tax Pro, Timur, CEO of ProTax Pro. Tune in next month on Tuesday at 10 a.m. California time. and subscribe to the newsletter so you can be up to date if you haven't done so. Definitely leave us any questions, concerns that you may have, comments. Thank you, everybody. And hopefully you guys have a great day and the rest of your tax season.
Yeah, have a great
You too.
tax season. We'll see you
Keep it
next
running.
time.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks. Bye.